chasing after these programs that are promising them 10 listings a month and leads and all this stuff, right? And they're chasing after that instead of seeing the investment has to be in you. They wanted to run away from being told what to do, from having a boss. Yeah, but you've got to do all those things yourself if you want to be successful.
I always like to start these things with a quote. And today I'm not what I have done, I am what I have overcome. And I feel like Ophir Adar is the right man to talk about all these things. Ophir is the CEO of Real Momentum. And for over 20 years, he has mentored countless real estate agents nationwide, transforming them into premier listing agents. Ophir's unique program is designed to overcome common hurdles, focusing on the right mindset, consistent actions, and a direct path of prosperity. Ophir, how are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you, Zuko?
I'm fantastic. I'm very excited to talk about these things because I like the mindset approach. I like the philosophy that you bring in some of your backgrounds. Now, before we go into those things, walk me through first of all your journey. How did you start, and how do we get here today?
Absolutely. So I began my real estate journey at 30 years old on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. So it was definitely a battleground, right? Like you literally are dropped in and it's like go to war, right? And that's what they're telling you, by the way, which is like you're going to war with all these other people, right? And so, I started real estate in 2002 in Los Angeles in the Sunset Strip. And I didn't have a lot of success at the beginning of my career. I was with Coldwell Banker and it was a top agency. And the advice they gave me was just show up. That was their training, right? And so I realized at that point at 30 years old that it was incumbent upon me in order to build my business, right? So then I had to be self-aware. And the number one rule for being able to change is self-awareness, right? So I had to realize that I wasn't good at communicating with people. Obviously, if I'm going out there and attempting to talk to people and attempting to get them to work with me and they're not working with me, I could blame them, which is what we like to do. And I did that at the beginning, or I can take responsibility and go, I need to be a better communicator, right? And that's part of the basis of my coaching program, which is in life, you're either proactive or reactive, right? And in any given moment, you can be one of the two, and you choose which one, right? So, at 30 years old, I got into coaching for myself. And within 2 years, I became the number one team for all of Keller Williams in California. And so I was listing, 80 properties a year in Los Angeles, which is a really big feat, right? It's not Indiana or some other small area. This is Los Angeles. Not a lot of people have machines and businesses running where they're doing over 50 transactions a year, right? And so I learned so much about building a business and making it about consumers, right? That was the gift that I got from my coaching program. Was I wasn't a good communicator, but it's so easy to be a good communicator if you just ask questions and make it about the client, right? So that's the basis of how I really began to learn how to become a listing agent.
And it feels like you had the right ingredients, and then the catalyst was LA because it just like speeds up everything because it is LA at the end of the day, and that real estate market is very difficult. What took it to the next level for you, or what kind of made the cooking happen, was the coaching that you started to take. And you said that you were self-aware. In order to be self-aware, then you can start to change. At what point did you start to at what point did you start to notice that, all right, I see what is happening with me, I see what has happened with other people, I want to shift from helping myself grow my business to help other agents become and kind of go through the transformation that I went through?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Of course, at first you're hyper focused on growth for yourself and financial success and doing well, and creating wealth for yourself. And so that's where I was at, and that's what was my basis. And then I learned about a company called Keller Williams. And so I became one of the first 10 agents with all of Keller Williams in Los Angeles. And this was like a new company to the area, but they wanted to have the best trained agents at the time. And so it was a gift to me because I was literally learning from Gary Keller and Moen and these top real estate leaders teaching me about purpose, teaching me about what matters in life, right? And so I really started to understand that as I created success for myself, finances weren't motivating, right? Finances aren't motivating. It's purpose that's motivating. Finance will take you to a certain place, but if you want to have a life of happiness, right, then you want to have a purpose of why you're doing things. And when you have that purpose and you can attach to the value, then you can do even all the things that you don't love doing because you know they're bringing you that purpose and that value.
It's true, and I want people to understand it's not a preachy way of saying like, hey, it's not about money. You at one point when you're in these environments and when you're surrounded by those successful people, you do get the financial success that you were wanting to do, and then you're like, all right, the really successful and happy people don't chase money at one point, and this is the breakthrough that you want to kind of show to people that at one point you will get there because you're on the right path. Then you get there, and if you truly want to be successful and happy, you start to notice that it's about purpose and it's not about the money. At some point, you will get it, and then what do we do next?
Absolutely. And you know, my point is that you can do it with both, right? But one has a good reason of doing it, and one usually doesn't have a good reason. You know, a lot of we know a lot of people who are successful have a chip on their shoulder. They have something that's driving them. And great, that can help them create success, but that doesn't mean that's going to help them create fulfillment in any way, shape, or form. I've seen so many successful people very unhappy, right? And so, Zivko, I talk about this in my book that's coming out in 2 weeks, literally about how I won the award for Team of the Year for all of California, which is this massive award, and I didn't even walk up on stage to accept it.
Wow.
And that's when I realized there was something that wasn't right, right? Like I didn't feel fulfilled or happy. And you know, my story is I was also drinking a bottle of vodka every single night and smoking a big bag of marijuana and a pack of cigarettes. And so I was doing all these things and creating success for myself and still not fulfilled, right?
Now, take us to that moment. This is something that for a lot of people will be like very shocking. How can someone achieve a massive award, something that we're chasing, something that we're working towards for such a long time, to get to that pedestal and to say, I'm not going to go up there and take the award? What happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's more hindsight than it is self-awareness in the moment, right? Because in the moment I was just like, I had a partner. I was like, you go up on stage and accept it. But then in retrospect, you know, when I'm looking back on it, I'm like, here's a point in my life that I should be so proud of, right?
Mhm.
And I was so uncomfortable talking to people. I pushed myself past all these comfort zones and created all this success. And so, why was there a disconnect? And it was because finances aren't motivating, right? I've had so many agents sit in front of me and tell me they have to do this because they don't have any money and they need. And I don't think that they're going to succeed because of that. It's the ones that say they want to do this.
Correct.
That's the ones that are going to succeed, right?
Now, you're going to go more into detail of all these things, and it's good to touch upon it in the early stages because
Yeah.
this will kind of guide us of the next chapter in your life. So you have the book coming up in 2 weeks, and in it you walk us through your journey, how you got to that point. You're also mentioning that there was points in your life you were abusing substance. Now, when you're looking at people that are very successful and growing and growing and growing, is there something that out if they don't have purpose, is it a point in their life if they don't have purpose but have very successful careers or life? Is there that emptiness, that disconnect that you're like it has to be filled with something, and some people choose the right thing?
You know what's so funny? I mean, no, it's a great question. I mean,
Yeah.
I talk about this too, right? Like the real estate agents that die in real estate, that sell real estate till they're 100 years old, are usually doing it because they don't have a purpose. They don't have something that they were accomplishing or finality, or they just get attached to the deal and the excitement and things. Whereas somebody who has a purpose is focused on fulfilling that purpose. And then once they fulfill that purpose, they can move on and do other things too. So the happiest realtors I know are the ones that are having a plan and fulfilling a purpose to get somewhere so that then they can do something that they want to be doing.
Got it. Now, in your process of finding your purpose and because to me it sounds like you're saying, look, there's a program, there's a way to success. You will achieve financial success. It's just a matter of time because that's all that it is to it. You put your time and energy, of course, and then we need to talk and go to the next step and talk about purpose and mindsets. Now, when we get to that stage, you have your book that will come out. You also have your courses. You also have your programs. What is your approach? How do you take someone to
Yeah,
develop the right
absolutely.
mindset?
So Zipko, I mean, my program was developed over the last 15 years of managing for three of the top big companies, right? So I've managed between Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, and finally Compass. I've managed 8 offices. I managed the two most successful offices in the country, Compass, Beverly Hills, and Hollywood, with $8 billion in real estate, right? I have managed these agents from all different levels of success and all different real estate models. And it's really interesting to see, like the ones that are focused on building success for themselves, right? That have a reason why they're building that success, not just for money, whether it be creating passive income for their family, right? Or creating generational wealth for themselves. Well, the ones who have a purpose are driven and they have a plan, right? But the ones that are just looking for commissions are just looking for commissions. And that's what they spend hunting and pecking most of their life doing, right? And
Now,
so I found that when I teach them the right way of how to focus on the consumer, how to ask questions and dig deeper and make it about the customer, then they have a lot more success, right? Because the customer trusts them and they build rapport and they become clients for life versus people that are just hunting and pecking for deals, right? So
um,
there's much more purpose in that, right?
absolutely. And in your approach, what you were mentioning off camera was that you focus on being a listing agent, and not a lot of people focus on being a listing agent. They usually
Yes.
go the opposite side. Why did you choose that?
Because I got into only because I got into coaching. Yeah. As most at the beginning of your career, everyone's telling you should work with buyers. That's why that's why I created some of the most successful offices, because I'm telling any agent from the beginning of your career, you need to focus on being a listing agent. It's not something you do and then you transition. It takes just as much work for you to become a buyer's agent as it does to become a listing agent.
Right.
Listings are where all the power is, where all the leverage is. And not only that, Zipco, we're walking into a market where there's going to be a mass exodus of real estate agents, and there's going to be an opportunity to build relationships with consumers, sellers, right, who don't have agents that they're attached to.
And in your methods, it sounds like the listings is where the power is. So the more you have those, the more relationships you're developing and learning to develop. It's then the buyer. It's just a normal part of it. It's very you learn more if you are a listing agent and start to learn how to develop that power, how to build that list.
Well, you when you focus on building your CRM, your database with sellers,
Mhm.
that's our focus, is on building our database with sellers and staying in communication with them. And here's the thing. I mean, people like to complicate real estate and say that it's the hardest thing and it's so difficult. And no, it's actually very simple, right? It's not easy, but it's very simple when you are focused on building your database with sellers and communicating with them regularly. Then it's a natural tendency to have sellers rather than have buyers. It's that simple.
Got it. Got it.
Now you need to learn how to have these conversations, right? You need to learn how to be able to communicate with them, how to be able to build rapport quickly and easily. And those are the things that I teach, and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, really helps with that. And at the same time, it's really about the consistency and the commitment of doing this regularly and improving and getting better is a 100% guaranteed path to success.
Wow. When we're talking about the path to success, part of your approach, you mentioned NLP. How did that fit in? How did that background kick into the coaching that you're doing?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually. It, I learned so many lessons from my coaching and my being in coaching and my actual ground level experience, right? How do you get better at something? It's by doing it. So if you're making, 10 contacts a day, 15 contacts a day, your speed to success is going to be so much quicker than someone who's just out there randomly trying to find potential people to work with, right? So when you're focused and you have an intention, then it becomes a lot easier to build a pipeline of people that you're communicating with regularly. But
Right.
Zico, the number one thing agents will never do is communicate with their clients, is pick up a phone and call them.
They
The
they will
ones
just kind of
that
send you the
do,
email, right? The newsletter. This is listed.
we call it dripping. They'll drip on them all day long with emails and messages, and they won't pick up the phone and call them. And the ones that do will absolutely have massive success.
Right. The drip campaigns of email. Someone said it's an easy one. We'll set it up, and your latest listings, everybody will see them, and magically someone will be like, ah, that's what I needed today. Jimmy, thank you so much for the email.
Yeah, right. And their belief is that they should somehow get these people to reach out to them.
Right.
And my whole coaching program is you're the salesperson. Your responsibility is to stay in touch with them. Once you learn that, once you shift your mindset and you understand that you are the determiner of your business, the only thing that prevents you from success is self-sabotage. That's it.
Self-sabotage does happen to a lot of people for various reasons, and
It happens to
it's
all of us.
it happens to all of us. Sometimes it's the burden too much to carry what you've or you didn't know what you signed up for, and eventually the years pass by like I never wanted this. So then you go down in a downward spiral. It's interesting to me to see that it can be as simple as like you said, like 10 contacts per day. Call people, do the things that no one else does, but the things that no one else does are not that hard for you to do. They're very easy and basic, and it doesn't sound very cool. It is very plain, and that's why it's not something that is talked a lot. Something that I know that you
It's
were
so funny
mentioning.
that you say that, right? It's
Uh,
like
Go ahead.
it's like boring or not sexy, right?
Yeah.
And it's the sexiest thing in the world to be able to communicate with people and build a relationship and get them to open up and talk to them and help them is the most amazing thing in the world.
When when you're looking at the neuro-linguistics programs that you have, your background, how
Yeah.
do you inject that in your coaching practically for someone? As a new agent, you drop NLP, like what is NLP? Like, okay, let me show you. How does that look like?
Yeah, we have a very specific formula of how we want our agents to show up. And that includes affirmations that we give them, that includes meditations that we give them, that includes first thing they do start listening to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill with the audio from Napoleon Hill, right? Because what you feed into your mindset is going to control what you're thinking about. And so if you're looking at things negatively, then you'll see all the reasons you should fail. And if you're looking at things with a positive mindset, you'll see all the opportunities that are out there for you to succeed. And so, Zivko, the first month of coaching for anybody with me is about smashing their limiting beliefs and these things that they're mind reading and this BS that they're infusing into their business, bringing them to neutral so then they can just focus on having real conversations with people.
In that process, like me being like in yourself, many years in business, understand that and sees the value. Someone that is fresh in you, do you get pushback of people saying like, I don't know, this is like hokey pokey stuff, or if you're, I don't know, if this is what I really want to do.
It's the number one thing that prevents them from succeeding, right? And I it's so great. It's such a great conversation to have, Zipco, because Yeah, I mean, I could be like, oh my God, they're fools and they're chasing after these programs that are promising them 10 listings a month and leads and all this stuff, right? And they're chasing after that instead of seeing the investment has to be in you, right? You're the commodity. You need to invest in yourself in order for you to be the best trained out there and not buy leads or pay people to send you listing appointments, which usually doesn't work out well.
It's true. It's true. You have to do sometimes that sounds like the shortcut that you've been sold as a this is the shortcut, is it? And as opposed to like you said, investing in yourself builds a foundation so that then you just stack on top of it. Um, you
I
mentioned the
signed up
first.
for the shortcuts at the beginning of my career. I signed up for all of them because I want shortcuts too, right? Well, of course, everybody wants shortcuts. And, the reality is that's not a shortcut.
No, it doesn't work out. Not even in the short term. It just kind of it sounds good. And I always say to people like, look, I understand that the math will make sense. Practically, it will not work out like that. And a very easy example I give to people all the time is someone will be like, they'll give me a formula. If you close this many people, and if you do this, you will be a millionaire. Like, cool. 92% of businesses in North America don't pass 1 million. So 92% of people don't know, they haven't figured it out. Or this formula is very true, but in practice, there's times, there's cost, there's learning, there's missed opportunities, all kinds of factors that play into it. And if you're just chasing that number of a million, two, five, whatever it might be, shortcuts, all those things it just won't happen because mathematically true, but practically you might have some limiting beliefs.
And we get pulled in a million different directions, right? And we're focused on the wrong things. And so all of that takes us away from doing the things that we should be doing. I mean, if I talk to a real estate agent, tell them they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be doing. Great. So why aren't you, right?
Yeah.
Like if you know that you're supposed to be doing this and this is the determiner of your success, then why are you doing this and looking for these shortcuts and not doing this, right? And that's my contention, Zipko. It's a 6 month training program, right? You're with me every single day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. We break down your goals into week by week so they're easy to accomplish.
Mhm.
And within 6 months, our agents are all having massive success and starting to go on 2, 3 listing appointments a week and starting to build massive momentum by doing the consistent thing.
It's it's a different program that it's not like a 60-day, 90-day, boom, boom, boom. It's a 6 months, and when you're saying the first month goes through a lot of the limiting beliefs and setting yourself in the right mindset. But then you also have a lot of commitment from your side. 7:30 a.m. role play call every day.
Yes.
How does
Well,
that look?
the commitment on my end is to support them in doing the things that I did to create success for myself, right?
Mhm.
So it's a wonderful like win-win scenario for everybody because I'm in the same boat they're in, right? Like
Correct.
they're supposed to be talking to consumers to get listings. I'm supposed to be talking to agents to get agents to be part of my program, right?
Yes.
Lead gen is part of sales. That is literally part of sales. And so is the law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
How many people have business plans?
Manny?
About 1%, 3%. You understand the law of attraction is based on specificity.
Yeah.
Just saying I want to make more money is not the law of attraction.
Correct. Specificity.
Yeah. So when you understand that and you understand business, right? And business planning and all those things, then you see them the right way. You see them as tools to freedom. Most people go into entrepreneurship and they see them as what? As everything they wanted to run away from, right?
Mhm.
They wanted to run away from being told what to do, from having a boss. Yeah, but you've got to do all those things yourself if you want to be successful.
Right. Right.
Right. And so it's hard to be self accountable. It was impossible for me to be self accountable, but it's a lot easier to be accountable to a coach, right? To be accountable to a group that's like, hey, we're all in this together and we're going to commit to doing this. Yes, sometimes you get drawn off. That happens. Some weeks you're off, but you always come back to the same place and you're always brought back to where you need to be.
We hear that all the time. I heard it all the time. I never knew how accurate it was. That entrepreneurial journey is a very lonely one. No one cares. You are at the top. And what I mean at the top, like there's organization. You're at the top. There's no one else you can talk with. So if all of a
You
sudden you
are
have
on the mountaintop alone.
yes, and if you have a lot of fears or doubts, you start mentioning downwards, the whole company will be in panic. Like the guy is, he thinks we'll go out of business. Like he has no plan. He has, so you have to kind of if you have a another person, like you said, a coach or a group, that it doesn't have to be a lonely journey. And then there is things you don't know, you will learn or you will hear from someone that is doing in a similar space or same position as you are. That's kind of the
Yeah.
point.
So Zivko, I mean, it would be great if you were in real estate or an entrepreneur, you walk into an office, right? And everyone there is lead generating and there's an energy and you're excited, right? Like that would be amazing. That would be what everybody would want. And that's not what happens, right?
Right.
You go into an office, you got these curmudgeons, you got these people telling you not to do these things, that they don't work, the ones that aren't doing any business that sit around and talk to everyone all day long, right? And so it's about the energy that you surround yourself. So I've created this energy of lead generation with this amazing group of lead generators that are all supporting each other. And uh, that's where you create success.
And in your approach there's a good focus that you're mentioning on lead generation. What is the right way for a real estate agents that I want to be listing real estate agents? What is the right
Yes.
way for them to do lead generation?
Fantastic question, right? It's one thing and one thing only right now. Who are the sellers going to be in the next 10 years? It is baby boomers. Let's be clear. The sellers are going to be, the majority are going to be baby boomers over the next 10 years. So how do you communicate with baby boomers? It's not technology, it's not websites, it's interpersonal communication. So door knocking is the number one way. Picking up a phone and calling people uh, in a farm area, right?
Mhm.
Talking to expired listings, talking to for sale by owners, talking to absentee owners, working with investors. So there's all, different markets are meant for different focus, right? And we're moving into a great investor market. We're moving into a market where farms, geographic farms, what we call, are going to be wide open for the taking. Why are geographic farms wide open for the taking? Because 80% of those homeowners were orphaned by the buyer agent who sold them the home. 80%. So they sold them a home and then they never stayed in touch with them. So that whole farm area is wide open looking for an agent to represent them.
And
So
it's
you literally just talking to people, getting them to give you their contact info so you can send them a monthly newsletter or quarterly market report and call them every 90 days.
so you would still do the processes um that traditionally today some will say though they're outdated, it doesn't work. You will say these are the ones that work because if you look at your buyers, if you look at your potential clients, this is the preferred methods they want and like. So you have to adapt, not they towards you.
Whoever's telling you it's traditional and outdated is full of you know what. It's the number. Go into any real estate office. The door knocker, the caller, they will always be successful in that office. And everybody else knows it too, right? And they may make fun of them or say what they're doing is smarmy. Those are the things I did to myself in my head, right? You want to know the shift for me, Zivko?
Yeah.
When I reframe things from I'm bothering people, when I'm doing these things, people don't want to hear from me and my ego got in the way, right? And all of that. When I reframe that to there are a lot of bad real estate agents out there, a tremendous amount. And if I'm not talking to these people, one of them is going to get a hold of them and they're going to have a really horrible experience because I've seen it, right? So I made it my mission to help as many people as possible. And so that's a mission that can drive you, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting because when I started this podcast, that's part of it because I was hearing a lot of advice There wasn't. It sounded very good, but when I applied it, I was like, "There's not a single comment on these on these posts. Someone to say like, I tried what you said, it doesn't work. Like, not a single person says anything. It's just nothing. Or you read like the fake praises. Some of them are true. I'm not saying all of them are bad, but some of the stuff I was looking for myself and to try to understand some things, I was like, how come like no one tried it and said this does like it worked for all? So it's the reframing of,
So true.
if you want to have the change, maybe start doing the change. If there's a lot of bad real estate agents, I can work with clients and kind of prevent them from going in the wrong way. If I want the right information to be available, I can do the podcast and have honest and truthful conversations about it. And as opposed to I'm bothering people, I'm just another real estate agent doing this and that. It's more of reframing.
It's so yeah, and it's the mindset, right? Listen, the only thing, if people work with you because you believe they should work with you. That's it, right? So how do you get to that place where you believe they should work with you? It's by practicing, it's by role playing, it's by getting better, it's by always wanting to improve your communications. And when you do that, it there's no like, oh, it might work. It might, of course it's going to work. Anything you do and you practice, do you get better at, Zivko? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we poo-poo those things, right? And it's so funny because like in sports, you don't go play sport without a coach, right? Without
Yeah.
learning how to play the sport.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but people get into real estate and like, I know how to talk to people. I'm good. And I'm like, no, you don't know how to talk to people.
And
And you can learn the hard way, like I learned, right? Because
correct.
I didn't know how to talk to people and I was door knocking and trying to talk to them, and everyone was slamming door in my face. When I learned the formula and how to do it, it was everyone was giving me their information and inviting me in.
I feel like there's also the point of like your first real estate agent, that interaction when you sold or when you bought, you kind of mimic that and be like, I can do that as well. That's kind of how they were talking with me. And then you start doing that, but you don't know if they're successful or not. You don't know if they're committed 100% or is it a part-time gig. All those things no one's going to disclose in the first time we meet or while we're trying to close the deal. And then you try to take that as opposed to go in a group of either like with a coach or in the right team, kind of looking at from your perspective as opposed to trying to mimic what you've seen.
Yeah, and look, it's imperative to know this, Ivko. My basis, what's the basis of a good agent? It's not that you know everything, right?
Mhm.
I've been a manager for the three biggest companies, and I still have to ask questions in real estate, right? And
Yeah.
I know more than most, and that's because real estate has so many different, amazing things that you can do and structure, and so the good agent's going to find those things out, protect their client, do what they can to get their client the most amount of money for the property, right? And a bad agent's going to tell you what you want to hear to get the sale.
They'll protect their clients. They'll try to get them the best outcome as opposed to
Yeah,
just
if
saying
I don't
whatever
know
it
an
is.
answer, I'll go find out from my office, from my broker, from my mat, right? And I will get you the right answer. But they think that they have to know everything in order to be a good realtor. I did too, right? I was petrified of walking into a listing appointment. Somebody asked me a question I couldn't answer. Right now, if I went into a listing appointment and somebody asked me a question I couldn't answer, I'd be like, I'm going to find out. I'll get back to you, right?
Yeah. Yes,
I
that's
don't,
it.
I don't have any doubt there. But that's what we do, right? That's how we psych ourselves out. That's how so it's really about getting out of your own way. And if you think about this, Ipco, if we have 2 million bits of information coming at us at all times,
Mhm.
and we only process 126 bits out of 2 million, what are the bits that you're processing? It's whatever your mind is focused on.
Yeah.
So if your mind is being fed negative stuff on a regular basis, then you're going to focus on seeing this doesn't work. This is stupid. This is smart, blah, 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 right? And if you're constantly feeding positive, affirming things into your mind, then you see opportunity and you see how you can succeed with things.
Correct.
That's simple.
It's it truly is that simple, and I'm happy that you drove that message because, like, guys, it's that simple. You have to look at it in the right mindset. Like you said, you have all this information coming in, you're focusing on negative. That's the only thing that you can see because it's impossible to see the whole picture. Just focus on the positive, and that will attract. That's the law of attraction. It's in the details. Now, um, the last part of this conversation, I want to focus it on your upcoming book. So tell me a little bit more about it. Like, when is it coming out? What are
Yeah,
your motivators?
great. I'm excited. It's called Feed Your White Wolf,
Okay.
and it's about the Cherokee Indian story, right? There's a famous story about a Cherokee Indian tribe leader, and one of the children of the tribe was sitting there listening to him talk, and he said, "I have a fight going on inside of me. I have two wolves. I have the dark wolf, which is full of hate and envy and ego and scarcity. And he's fighting with the white wolf that's full of love and abundance and collaboration. And so, which one wins? The child asks. And the answer the chief gives is the answer in life, which is the one you feed. And so, if you're feeding your white wolf constantly, you are going to change as a human being. You're going to see things differently. It doesn't matter, we started with that quote, right? It doesn't matter what I came from, right? It matters where I'm at right now and what I decide to do moving forward, because I can make that choice anytime I want. And so we want to feed positive things into our head so we're seeing positive choices versus nothing works, this is all bad, which, by the way, Zivko, we're going into that time where everything's going to be negative over the next 6 months to a year.
Um, why would you say that? Why do you feel that is the next 6 months?
We're going into, I've been talking about this for a while now. We're at a 15-year cycle of a we're at 15 years in a 7 to 10 year cycle,
Mhm.
which is the correction, right? And we haven't had a correction, and it is coming right now. And so there's going to be a lot of distressed properties. We already see them piling up, seeing a lot of reductions already happening, seeing a lot more inventory on the market. So we're moving into a completely different market and a completely different economy. And when you're in that economy, it's a very negative time frame.
And you're feeling it was going to be with that 15 years of the 7 years into
On
the
a
15 years.
positive, yeah, of
Yeah.
of going up versus now we're going down.
And then
And we're already in a downward cycle. Yeah.
the correction on the market has to happen, and that's the outlook for the next 6 months in your kind of predictions that you're doing there.
It's
Uh,
happening underneath our feet right now. It's
is
already happening. Anybody you talk to will tell you that.
Wow. And in your book, is the focus on real estate, or is it more on your personal journey, or how people go over and overcoming mindsets, limiting beliefs, and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's really the journey of the spiritual lessons that I learned from my entrepreneurial endeavor. The spiritual lessons I learned that support you succeeding in the universe, right? One of the most important things is doing things that make you uncomfortable, right? Those are where you have growth opportunities. And people usually run away from those things, right? So it's about the spiritual laws I learned over the universe. Unfortunately, some of them I learned from my addiction, and I talk about that, but they supported my business. Like, for example, I couldn't answer the phone after 7 o'clock in the evening because I was already drunk.
Wow.
So I had to have boundaries and not answer the phone at night, which is what all agents should do anyhow, right?
Yeah, you should have boundaries.
Does your lawyer answer the phone at 10 o'clock at night? Do other people? No.
No.
It's,
And it's funny you say that because, and I mean funny in the sense like now it does click. Like you call your agent at any time in the middle of the night. The whole day is free. The day you're available, but you decide to call them at like 8 p.m. Honey, let's call the agent now.
and that's Zipco. It's about setting yourself up as a professional. And the more you treat yourself as a professional, the more your clients will treat you as a professional.
Got it.
So, the evolution is from begging people for listings to like, I'm not sure I'm going to take your listing.
That's
And
the
that's
evolution.
where I am, right? Because if you're not going to work the way I want to work and you don't respect what I do as a profession and you think you know more than me, there's no point in us working together. I'm not going to have an ego attached to it. I'm just going to say, thank you very much. There's another agent that's better for you.
And it's good to be in that position, even from the beginning. I know that like it's when you really need the finances, but those things can come back and hurt you even more. It can be a negative review. It can be a bad, like whoever talks with that person just will always say the bad thing about you because even if you try, you knew that that was not going to work out, but you still did it. And if I go back in time, I would give that advice to myself. If you know it's a bad deal, Chris Voss, it's better to say no than to take a bad deal because you got to live with a bad deal.
Are you kidding? It's going to affect your energy. It's going to affect your other transactions. And why comes down to one thing. Why do people not pick and choose the transactions they want to work on? Because they're not willing to lead generate and they don't have enough leads. So they have to work with whoever will work with.
Because
That's
yeah,
it. And when you're lead generator, when you're not lead generating, you're going to work with anybody that wants to work with you. And when you're lead generating, you have a pipeline of leads and you're going to qualify them and pick and choose the ones you want to work with.
and it's very true. And people kind of feel it as it's a commodity, but there's also like good and bad ways of lead generation. Like you mentioned at the beginning, where you can like buy the like it's not going to work out because you're shortcutting. You need to do it the right way, which might take a little bit of time. But then you have the sales pipeline. That is an asset you can always rely on. I do like that you're very transparent and honest, even in your book, that, it's not just about talking about feeding the white wolf. You did it. You were in the positions where you had the dark wolf taking over parts of your life and how you overcome that. So you're not just like, it's a nice story. I lived it and I can tell you, you're being transparent about it. I can tell you that there is a way that you can feed your dark wolf. It's not gonna look pretty. It's not gonna take you to where you want to be. And here is a way that I changed that in the book. I kind of changed that, feed the white wolf, and I'm telling you that there is a way to prosperity and be where you want to be.
Well, so many people think that, they've gotten out of college and this is who they are and they're developed and that's who they're going to be, right? And the whole point is you can change anytime you want. You can change constantly. And I'm always wanting to transform and get better. And I'm always feeding my white wolf because everybody else is going to feed your dark wolf all day long. Everybody else will feed your dark wolf. Don't worry about it. You don't have to feed it. It will get fed. Feed your white wolf and change how you look at things, and the things you look at will change.
Ophir, thank you so much for the time. If people want to get a hold of you, if they heard this and like, man, that's a fantastic guy, and I like the approach of the 6 months program and all the stuff that he has, how do people get a hold of you? How do they get in touch with you?
That's a great question. So anybody can go to realmomentum.com. That is our website. So REAL, real estate, realmomentum.com. And we offer a ton of free resources to people. They can join us on School. They can actually become a community member on School at Real Momentum. And we will give them free training, free resources, free scripts. We do meditations. We give them a lot of stuff for free. And we do a lot of trainings for free because we want people to be constantly growing and learning in real estate. So we do a lot of free stuff. We give them a lot of free resources. They can join us on School and be a community member absolutely for free.
Fantastic. And your book, when can we expect that one? What are the steps there?
The book is coming out June 14th. So we're going to launch the book in Los Angeles on June 14th, and that will be the first day that it's available. And I'm going to share a flyer with you that has the QR code and how you can order the book. You can order it on Kindle or a hard copy, and it will be available June 14th.
That's amazing. Ophir, thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for showing us how to feed the white wolf. And I wish you the success.
Zivko, it's so great talking to you. I appreciate you.